This is the topic I'm so focused on. This is BPL people below poverty line people, and there will be some Hindi words involved inside. Please pardon my Chinese accent of Hindi. I'm giving you introduction about poverty line, which China we have an absolute line that differs from city to city, while India have the different the lines differ from state to state, but actually it is according to the calorie intake it's the same. That is in rural areas 2,400 calorie, and then in urban areas 21. And Chinese poverty lines defined on the minimum wage rate. It's a percentage of the minimum wage. That also differs from city to city, and Indian ones depends on the defined on the calorie intake, and it's a system of calculation. Like every year, this 2,400 and 2,100 is fixed in 70s, and each year they inflate with the WPI or CPI. And then China also, in China, the BPL people mainly, urban BPL people, they are mainly laid off workers, long-term disease patients, and guardianless children and senior citizens which do not have child. And then in urban area of India, mainly they consist of unemployed workers, landless migrant farmers. Existing system that help the BPL people in China, we have established before it was planned way, and then later on we changed to direct cash transfer. And then this direct cash transfer is called minimum livelihood allowance. In Chinese, it's called Dibao. And then the cost of the money is shared by the central, which occupied around 60 to 80%, and province is around 18 to 38%, and the city itself, it is 2%. And in India, I think everybody knows that it was starting with the universal base need providing, which is the PDS, public distribution system. And then later on in Delhi, they launched this Iron Shri Yojana program, which directly transfer the money to those people who don't have access to the PDS. And then it is your money in your hand is the slogan for that program. And so I give you detail. That is China pre-1980s. We have a planned economy where, like your basic needs was allocated by the government. Like for adult, how many kg of rice or how much kg of wheat, they are going to provide you with a coupon. And then no matter you are rich or you are poor, you are entitled for that, since you are urban citizen, and the total amount of that food depends on the previous year's production in the rural area of that particular province. So actually, the poor family in the urban areas, they are taking care of this job providers of them, like the adult. So before 1980s, all the all the forms they are public undertaken. That means there's no private form. So actually, government in the indirect form, they are taking care of the poor families. But post-1990s, we have shifting to a market-oriented economy, and the government started withdraw disinvestment from most of the field. And then the government also not interested in providing welfare, because under the neoclassical assumption, that's very typical that welfare is reversely related to the efficiency. And then the urban unemployment and others do not get the any benefit, I can inconclusively say that, from the government. And then they become very unstable factors of the society. While in India, it is pre-economic reform, like PDS was universally providing, and the ration card worked not only as a welfare card, but also as a kind of ID card. I think most of you would experience that. And there's lots of leakage in ration shops. There's lots of discussion on that. Not food grain safe, but also the time of opening and how they transfer the food grains in different areas, especially the tribal areas and the hill stations and all. And post-economic reform in 1997, it PDS become targeted PDS. Sorry, there's a spelling mistake. Those only focus on who are like below poverty line, and most of the ration shops, they don't stop supplying sugars and oil, and then the migrations, they are not entitled for that. I heard like from my planning commission teachers listening that there are some fixed or like in the PDS in the recent years, they are trying to include the migration workers into the place they are presently stayed, but that has not been implemented yet. And obviously it does not take nutrition into consideration. So I just generally talk about this targeting of the direct cash transfer. This is based on the survey, which is sampling from 100 BPL households in New Delhi and 150 BPL households in China. This Wuhan city has similar per capita GDP as Delhi. That's why I take that city. And I know some contact there. So the criteria for getting the direct cash transfer in China, stage 1 is automatically inclusion. That means if your income is lesser than 40 to 55% of the minimum wage of that city, then regardless of what gender you are, what age you are, what occupation you are entitled with that. But in India, in the first stage, it is automatically exclusion. Like if you have a car, or you have a car, or you have air conditioner, or you have a two-wheeler, computer or washing machine, they directly exclude you from the system. And there is this Pakka house with more than one room. By Pakka house means the house built by the bricks and the cement. Like if the house is built by bricks and mud, that's not Pakka house, that's actually Kacha house. So if you have a Pakka house more than one room, directly excluded from the program. And second one is the second stage, China will do automatically exclusion. As you can see, there's lots of criteria. I will discuss in the next slides. But in India, then you become automatically inclusion, like homeless people, beggars, and workers, and then minors, aged people, and then later on they include widows also, and disability, or like suffered from long-term disease. So the exclusion criteria in China and India, you can see like both China and India, they do this demand targeting. That means how much you are going to, what you are going to consume. They are targeting that. So India is more or less very small criteria you can see, but in China we leverage lots of things. First one is no new house. That means you cannot buy a new house, nor you can build your own house. And second one is no vehicle, and third one is no unnecessary consumption with more than 5 times of the monthly allowance. And then you should not invest in the stock market, and you should not have your children get enrolled in private school or overseas education of your self-finance. I didn't include this self-finance overseas education. And you should, and the people who with the working ability, and the government, they occasionally, no, seasonally, they allocate some employment to you. You cannot reject that employment more than 2 times. And then also they also included some criteria, like allocated this single child policy also with those people. Like if you have more than 2 children, you cannot get the BPL. And then other criteria which made by the local government. By local government, I mean district government, like North Delhi or like Southeast Delhi, like this kind of area, the district. So application of direct cash transfer. In India, it's like it's the same process which you get your BPL ration card done. That means you have to first fulfill your application and give to the MLA or like a member of legal assembly or member of parliament. They have to endorse it, like do signature on the application, and then you send that form to local food and Department of Food and Supply. The officer, they will take it, and then like if you after verification, they will give to the assistant commission, and then test it and give you back and give you BPL card. But in China, it's like the head of the household, they apply the things in the community level. By community, I mean a small area which is like, say, Mukherjee Nagar, or say Kamna Nagar, that kind of area, and within they have to approve it within 5 days, and then do these publications in the notice board of the community. That means your every personal detail, your name, your gender, your address, and everything is going to be showed and be known by everybody in the community. And then later on, we go to the sub-district area and district office, the same process will happen. So then I actually went to those households, and because I'm an economics student, so I did lots of behavioral economics things, but I don't want to mention those data here. If you are interested, you can contact me later. So I just tell you some difficulty from the field, which is generally not reported by the policymaker. First of all, in New Delhi, for the people who are illiterate, they don't know the program. If you go to them and say, have you applied, they say no. And do you know that? You are no. I also don't know. So it becomes the awareness of the program is very low. And then it is also not possible for them to fulfill the application form because they don't know how to read and write. And these local MPs and MAs, they are making these applications as a voter bank. When they endorse your application, they will say, hey, please vote for me next Lok Sabha, or next election. And these FSOs, they take lots of time to verify the people who don't have address proof. What they do is they don't come to your house or where you stay. And then, because there's a rule that if you don't do it within 15 days, the government will fine that officer 250 rupees per day. So those officers, first of all, they have lots of work, and second of all, they can't come, so they directly reject it without any reason. So I have seen lots of households, actually, they are below poverty line with above poverty line ration card. And the fifth one is the migration workers, they are not included in the scheme. This program, only the resident of Delhi, which is more than 3 years, is eligible for that program. So if you are a migrant worker, you don't have to prove that you have already stayed in Delhi for 3 years, you are not included. But in China, it takes more than 1 month to apply. They keep on publishing your names and details for more than 3 times. And if anybody comes out and saying, I think you are above poverty line, I show you this kind of, I think you have buy some gold earrings from some place, and they have take another round to verify whether the people saying is true or not. So it takes lots of time to apply that. And also, the migrant workers, they are not eligible. Then you have to, the migrant workers, what they need to do is they go back to their original resident place, apply there, and then come back. And then the problem of the policy is they are emphasizing on the survival and ignoring the development part of it. So the allowance of China, which is 50% of the local wage, in 2014 is 616.5 yuan per head. They take into the consideration of the household set. So if you have 6 people, then the amount will be multiplied by 6. But this amount is not, I can say, not sufficient for developing yourself. It is sufficient for surviving. See, this amount can buy around 150 kg of rice, if you take it as a rice term. But still, it's not sufficient for you to empower yourself by enroll in some education schemes or something like that. Yet in Delhi, it's 600 per household. So, and if you follow the news, you know that this Dixit and Sonia Gandhi, they were saying that 600 rupees is enough for a household for 5. But I'm sure that it's not enough, though they are claiming so. And then, in India, there's various schemes that are happening in the poor, but yet there's no sufficient integration between the schemes. First of all, people are illiterate. Second of all, they don't know anything. Third of all, there's no integration. You apply for this, you don't know how to apply for that. So it becomes a single thing for a single person, which is very difficult for them. In China, this various urban social security scheme, minimum livelihood allowance and livelihood allowance for public sector laid-off workers, social medical insurance and all. There's also lack of integrations. So, and there's no special program for BPL people which grants the employment at the central government or state government level. Yet in India, in rural area, you have this Mahakandi rural employment program which grants you 100 days of work with 150 rupees per day, that wage. Yet in the urban area, we don't have such kind of scheme. Yeah, so in China, we try to convert those people who have working ability, which is below poverty line, to the workers, like community workers. But generally, you know, these poor people, they are concentrated together. Like in the slum area, the whole area is BPL people. But in Gurugram, you can hardly find anybody because everybody is staying in those fancy apartments. So the number of jobs which can be provided in those communities is very less compared to the number for the people who are below poverty line. And some Indian political parties like Congress and BJP, AAP, I saw it only in Mulika. I don't know whether other places in Delhi you have. They have some coaching to the poor, like tell them how to read and write. But that also lack of integration. And the most important is like some long-term disease suffered people, they are very depressed. Like, first of all, you cannot allocate some work to them. Second of all, like they are suffering the long-term disease without hope of curing it. So like psychology itself makes them very depressed. That's the second problem of the police. And third problem for police, like emphasizing on efficiency and ignoring the justice. So in China, the name list is displayed. So the privacy you can't take care of. And the people who are marginal above the line, there's no policy for them. So if you say, if the poverty line is 1,000 rupees, and you earn 1,001, then you are not entitled for all the benefit which is below poverty line people enjoys. And third one is the local government, they use these policies stabilizers all the social conflict. Like if this trade union worker, they are like say, they are displaying, demonstrating, saying that we are merely traded, and the government say, okay, I give you this minimum livelihood allowance, then you keep quiet. So like the government is not thinking to solve their problem, but by giving them money, they think this problem is already solved. In India, it's like, obviously, it's excluding the migrants, and the eldest woman of the household is entitled to that cash. And in these cases, they are not the one who run the family. I have visited lots of households where the eldest women, they are the mother-in-laws, and the people who run the household, they are daughter-in-laws. So this mother-in-law, daughter-in-law conflict is always there. And the mother-in-law, they refuse to give the money to the daughter-in-law, saying that it is my money because it come to my account. Why you are asking money from me? And the third point is the household count does not take into consideration. If I have 6 dependents, and I must still have 600 rupees. If I only have 1 dependent, I also have 600 rupees. So that problem was not taken into consideration. And also, black economic, this is a very key important things, which, you know, you make the city more inefficient. And what I observing is like in India, the illiterate people, they get some middlemen to help them in the application of the DCT. The DB or the direct cash transfer. And what is middlemen do? Because they don't know how to read and write, they told them you are only getting 200 rupees. So the middlemen eat up the 400 rupees like every month. And then sometimes they tell you the money has not come, or like, but actually they take that money away. And when they are feeling like to give them, they give them. And then let's have a strong trend to.
Sorry, okay. Just please finish.
Okay. There's a strong trend of the porn is going on to pass into the father to the son. And also, you know, the caste system in India is very prevalent. And then the fourth question is like emphasizing on the duties and ignoring the rights. So since the time is not there, this is the key point which exists both in India and China. First one is the migrant workers. They are the biggest one who should be taken care, but actually they are not included in the project. And absent of the local government, like non-monetary help, it is not included. And most of the time the government is like sitting there and idly and saying that you do whatever, this is none of my business. So I have some potential solutions, which is that the Aadhaar card, that UID card, they make it a camp, and they don't make it like they don't make it continuously. So if I miss the camp in my residence, I'm not entitled to get it again. So we should make a UID card more consequent. And then when this opening bank account for the seeding of the entitled DCT, then you should not like levy that burden to the people who don't know anything. You should like the government should open an account because they have the UID information. They should open the account with their information and seed them already, instead of making the people who go to the bank open it and seed it. And third one is there should be a choice between the PDS and the DBT, the direct benefit transfer. And then because, you know, like PDS, you get 35, in Delhi, you get 35 kg of wheat and 5 kg of rice, which may be sufficient for a household for 3 or 4. But for a small household, like say only 2 people, then it might be more beneficial for them to get the cash. Then they can buy some dal or something. So you should, the government should like make the application, make the people have the choice between the two of them.
Thank you very much.